Roman Reigns suffers brutal rib injury after the beatdown by Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. I am absolutely livid right now. And if you're not furious about what happened to Roman Reigns, then you haven't been paying attention. I just watched the most vicious, career-threatening assault in WWE history result in Roman Reigns suffering a legitimate rib injury that could sideline him for months, and I'm watching so-called fans on social media saying it's just a work or Roman will be fine with the most dominant force in wrestling history and the wrestling world will never be the same after this devastating betrayal. This isn't a storyline injury where Roman disappears for 2 weeks and comes back at 100%. Medical reports are confirming broken ribs, internal bruising, possible organ damage from the sustained attack by Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. The tribal chief, the man who carried WWE on his back for over 4 years, is in a hospital right now because two reckless, hungry monsters decided to make their names by trying to end his career. If you think this is good for business or you're celebrating Roman's pain because you never liked him, then you're part of the problem. Let me break down exactly what happened, why this is a disaster for WWE, and what this means for the future of professional wrestling. Let me paint the complete picture of what transpired on SmackDown, because the severity of what we witnessed cannot be overstated, and every detail matters when we're talking about a potential career-ending injury to WWE's biggest star. SmackDown opened as advertised. Roman Reigns was scheduled to address the WWE Universe about the recent Bloodline turmoil and his plans moving forward. The show had been promoted heavily all week. The tribal chief speaks. Social media was buzzing. Everyone expected a typical Roman promo, powerful, commanding, setting up his next feud. Roman's music hit. The reaction was massive. For years of dominance, historic title reign, love him or hate him, Roman Reigns is WWE. He walked to the ring with that trademark confidence, but if you were watching closely, you could see something was different. Roman looked cautious. He kept glancing at the entrance ramp. He positioned himself in the ring where he could see all angles. It was subtle, but the body language told us Roman knew something was coming. The tribal chief's instincts were screaming danger. Quick question for the comments: did you notice Roman seemed on edge during his entrance, or were you caught off guard? Roman grabbed the microphone and began speaking. He talked about his legacy, about building the Bloodline into the most dominant faction in wrestling history, about respect and acknowledgement. Classic Roman content. But there was an urgency to his words. He was speaking faster than usual, almost like he wanted to say what he needed to say and get out of there. About 3 minutes into the promo, Roman said something prophetic: "There are young lions in the back who think they can take my spot. They think numbers and surprise attacks make them tough." But what they don't understand is he never finished that sentence. The lights flickered. Not a full blackout, just that ominous flicker that signals danger. Roman immediately dropped the mic and went into a defensive stance. The crowd's buzzing turned to roaring anticipation. Bron Breakker's music hit, but not his entrance music, the aggressive attack version. Bron came sprinting from backstage, not even using the ramp. He came through the crowd. The element of surprise. Roman tried to react, but Bron was too fast. He slid into the ring and immediately went on the offense. This wasn't a let's size each other up situation, this was instant violence. Drop a comment: have you ever seen someone attack Roman Reigns with this level of aggression before? Bron hit a thunderous spear. Roman went down hard. But unlike a normal spear, Bron drove his shoulder into Roman's ribs with extra force. You could see the impact. Roman's body convulsed. Roman tried to get up, tried to fight back. This is the tribal chief after all, but Bron was relentless. Clothesline. Another spear, this time lifting Roman and driving him into the corner turnbuckle. Roman's back and ribs slammed against the steel. Security started rushing the ring, but then oh god, Bronson Reed's music hit. Reed didn't run. He walked. The slow, methodical approach of a man who knows his prey isn't going anywhere. The 300-plus-pound monster climbed into the ring, and now Roman was facing two of Raw and SmackDown's most dangerous competitors. Security tried to get between them. Officials were begging them to stop, but Bron and Reed shoved everyone aside like toys. Nothing was stopping this assault. Reed picked Roman up, and here's where it gets brutal. He lifted Roman into a military press position. Roman's ribs were already damaged from Bron's attacks. Reed held him there, letting Roman's own body weight strain those injured ribs. Then Reed threw Roman down. Not a slam where you try to protect your opponent, a throw where Roman crashed ribs first onto Reed's knee. The impact. The sound. You could hear it through the television. Question for discussion: should WWE officials have done more to stop this attack earlier? Roman was writhing in pain, holding his ribs, gasping for air. This wasn't selling, this was real distress. Medical personnel were trying to get in the ring, but Bron and Reed weren't done. Bron set up a table at ringside. Where did it come from? Did he bring it? Was it under the ring? It doesn't matter. What matters is these two had planned this. This was premeditated. Reed lifted Roman again, powerbomb position. He walked Roman toward the ropes. The crowd was screaming no, 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 they knew what was coming. Reed launched Roman over the top rope. Roman crashed ribs first through the table on the outside. The table exploded. Roman's body bounced. He rolled on the floor clutching his ribs, his face contorted in agony. But they still weren't done. Bron exited the ring. He grabbed a steel chair. The crowd was in shock. Some people were booing. Some were too stunned to make noise. This had crossed from angle to attempted murder. Bron smashed the chair across Roman's back. Crack! The sound echoed through the arena. Roman's body went limp. Bron raised the chair again. Crack! Another shot to the ribs. And again. Crack! 5 chair shots total. Each one aimed at Roman's ribs. Each one delivered with maximum force. This wasn't wrestling, this was an execution. Let me know in the comments, at what point did you realize this had gone too far? Reed then climbed onto the ring apron. The crowd knew what was coming. Reed's signature tsunami splash, but from the apron to the floor. A move that's devastating under normal circumstances. But on an already injured Roman Reigns. Reed jumped. All 300+ pounds came crashing down on Roman's ribcage. The impact was sickening. Roman didn't move after that. His body just lay there. Finally security was able to form a wall between the attackers and Roman. More officials flooded the area. Bron and Reed backed off, but they weren't running. They walked away, taking their time, smiling. They knew what they'd done. EMTs rushed to Roman. They were immediately calling for medical equipment. A stretcher. Neck brace. The urgency in their movements told you this was serious. The cameras showed close-ups of Roman's face. He was conscious but in excruciating pain. You could see tears in his eyes, not from emotion, but from physical trauma. He was trying to breathe, but every breath was agony. They loaded Roman onto the stretcher. The crowd was silent except for scattered "Thank you Roman" chants. Some fans were crying. The visual of the tribal chief being wheeled out on a stretcher, oxygen mask on his face, was devastating. Michael Cole's voice was shaking. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed what can only be described as an attempted assassination of Roman Reigns. The tribal chief has been taken out in the most brutal fashion I have ever seen. Wade Barrett added, his voice grave, I've been in this business a long time, and I've never seen anything like this. Roman Reigns needs to be in a hospital right now. Comment below, what was the exact moment you knew Roman was legitimately hurt? The show went to commercial, but when they came back, Adam Pearce was on screen looking distraught and furious. Ladies and gentlemen, Roman Reigns has been transported to a local trauma center. Early reports indicate he has suffered multiple broken ribs, severe internal bruising, and possible damage to his liver and spleen from the sustained attack. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed have been suspended indefinitely pending further investigation. But that doesn't change the fact that one of WWE's biggest stars is in a hospital fighting through what could be a career-threatening injury. The severity in Pearce's voice. This wasn't kayfabe. This wasn't worked. This was WWE acknowledging a real injury to their top star. Later in the show, we got an update. Roman was undergoing X-rays and CT scans. Doctors were evaluating the extent of the damage. The Bloodline members, the Usos, Solo Sikoa, even Jacob Fatu, were all shown rushing to the hospital. The family was rallying. Social media exploded. #Pray for Roman was trending worldwide. Fellow wrestlers were tweeting concern. Fans who even hated Roman's character were expressing genuine worry for the man behind the character. By the end of SmackDown, we got the devastating confirmation Roman Reigns has multiple fractured ribs, a bruised liver, and will be out of action for an indefinite period. Possibly 8 to 12 weeks minimum. Maybe longer depending on the severity of internal injuries. Question, how long do you think Roman will realistically be out of action? Now let's break down why this is an absolute disaster for WWE from every conceivable angle. Roman Reigns is WWE's top draw. He's the biggest mainstream star they have. He moves merchandise. He drives ratings. His matches are the main events that people pay to see. WrestleMania season is approaching. WWE has been building toward major matches involving Roman. Now all those plans are in jeopardy. Do they wait for Roman to heal? Do they pivot completely? Either way, they're losing money. International tours are scheduled. Roman was supposed to be the face of those tours. Now WWE has to promote without their biggest star. That affects ticket sales. That affects marketing. Sponsorship deals often include Roman. He's the face in advertisements. He's the representative at corporate events. His absence affects WWE's ability to fulfill contractual obligations. The Bloodline storyline has been running for years. It's the most successful long-term storyline in modern WWE. Roman's injury throws everything into chaos. Was Roman supposed to face someone at the Royal Rumble? At Elimination Chamber? Those matches now either don't happen or need complete rewrites. The Bloodline members lose their leader. Solo Sikoa might try to take over. The Usos might fracture without Roman. The family dynamic is destroyed. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed are now the most hated heels in wrestling, but they also don't have their primary target. How do you continue their story without Roman? Quick question, should WWE keep Bron and Reed suspended, or bring them back immediately to capitalize on heat? This injury raises serious questions about wrestlers' safety. Was this attack too stiff? Were Bron and Reed reckless? Should agents have intervened sooner? WWE has a responsibility to protect their performers. Injuries happen, it's part of wrestling, but when two wrestlers gang up on one and deliver this much punishment, where's the line? Other wrestlers in the locker room are watching. Are they safe? Could they be next? Does this create an environment of fear? WWE's medical protocols are under scrutiny. How quickly did they respond? Did they do enough to protect Roman during the attack? Forget the character. Lady Anoai is a real person. He's a father. He's a husband. He's a son. He's dealing with real pain and real injury. Broken ribs are excruciating. Every breath hurts. Sleeping is impossible. Basic activities become torture. Roman is suffering physically. There's also psychological impact. Being attacked that brutally. Being unable to defend yourself. That affects someone mentally. Roman's family is watching their loved one hurt. His children see their father injured. That's traumatic for everyone involved. Let me know, have you or someone you know ever had broken ribs? Share your experience in the comments. Now let's discuss what this means for the Bloodline as a faction. The Bloodline without Roman is like a ship without a captain. Roman has been the leader, the decision maker, the head of the table for years. His absence creates a power vacuum. Solo Sikoa is the most likely person to try taking charge. He's been positioned as Roman's enforcer. But will the Usos accept Solo as leader? Will Jimmy and G respect someone who isn't Roman? There's also the question of revenge. The Bloodline cannot let this attack go unanswered. They have to retaliate. But how? When? Against who first, Bron or Reed? Jacob Fatu might go on a rampage. He's the most violent member of the Bloodline. Seeing his family's leader taken out might unleash the Samoan werewolf. The family unity is tested. In Roman's absence, will they stay together? Or will old tensions and rivalries resurface? Will this strengthen the Bloodline or destroy it? Drop your prediction, who leads the Bloodline in Roman's absence? Let's talk about Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed and what this does for their careers. From a heel heat perspective, they just became the most despised men in wrestling. Fans hate them. That's valuable. That's money in the wrestling business. They proved they're credible threats. You don't take out Roman Reigns unless you're being positioned as top-level stars. WWE is clearly all in on these two. But there's also risk. Did they go too far? Will fans reject them not as heels but as unsafe workers? There's a difference between I want to see them lose heat and I don't want to watch them at all heat. Their careers are now defined by this moment. For better or worse, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed will always be remembered as the men who injured Roman Reigns. If Roman comes back and gets revenge, Bron and Reed get elevated by losing to him eventually. If Roman can't come back, they have to live with being the guys who ended a legendary career. Comment your honest opinion, did Bron and Reed cross the line, or is this exactly what wrestling needs? Now let's discuss the medical reality of Roman's injuries because this is serious. Broken ribs typically take 6 to 8 weeks to heal minimum, but that's for normal people who can rest. Wrestlers often try to come back sooner, which is dangerous. Internal organ damage, especially to the liver or spleen, can be life-threatening. These organs can rupture or hemorrhage. Roman needs extensive testing to ensure there's no ongoing internal bleeding. The risk of pneumothorax, collapsed lung, is real with rib injuries. Every breath Roman takes could potentially cause complications. Long-term, rib injuries can lead to chronic pain, cartilage damage, nerve damage. This could affect Roman for the rest of his life. There's also the psychological component. Coming back from a traumatic injury requires mental preparation. Roman will need to trust his body again, trust that his ribs can handle impacts. WWE's medical team is top-notch, but even the best doctors can't rush healing. Biology takes time. Pushing Roman to return too soon could result in re-injury or worse. Question, should WWE prioritize Roman's long-term health over business needs, even if it means him missing WrestleMania? Let's address what this means for WWE's upcoming schedule. Royal Rumble is in a few weeks. Was Roman supposed to be in the Rumble? Was he supposed to have a title match? Those plans are dead now. Elimination Chamber follows. Roman's often a central figure. Now WWE needs to completely restructure that card. WrestleMania 41 is the big one. Roman is always a major part of WrestleMania. What if he's not healed in time? What if he can't compete? WrestleMania loses a marquee match. International premium live events were announced. Roman was supposed to headline. Now those events need new main events. Weekly TV suffers. SmackDown revolves around Roman. His absence means hours of television need to be rewritten. WWE's booking team is working overtime trying to salvage storylines and create new ones. This is a nightmare scenario for creative. Let me know, how should WWE restructure their major events without Roman? Now let's talk about potential return scenarios because wrestling fans always want to know what happens when Roman comes back. Roman heals faster than expected. He returns at the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant. The place erupts. He eliminates Bron and Reed, sets up his revenge tour. Roman is out until post-WrestleMania. He returns and immediately goes after Bron and Reed. The feud runs through SummerSlam. Epic long-term storytelling. Roman comes back different. The injury made him vulnerable. He's not the cocky tribal chief anymore. He's a wounded warrior fighting to reclaim his spot. The worst case, Roman's injuries are too severe. He can't compete at the same level. He's forced to retire, becomes a non-wrestling character, or leaves WWE entirely. Each scenario has massive implications for WWE's future. The uncertainty is what makes this injury so devastating. Give me your fantasy booking. How should Roman's return be handled? Let's discuss the locker room reaction because other wrestlers are watching this. Some wrestlers are genuinely worried about Roman. Despite kayfabe rivalries, there's real respect in the locker room for what Roman's accomplished. Some wrestlers see opportunity. With Roman gone, there's a main event spot open. Who fills it? Who becomes the new top guy? Some wrestlers are angry at Bron and Reed. They think the attack was too stiff, too reckless. There might be locker room heat. Veterans are probably having conversations with younger talents. This is what happens when you don't protect your opponent. Teachable moment. The Bloodline members are probably demanding justice. They want Bron and Reed. WWE management has to balance storyline with legitimate backstage tension. Comment, if you were in the WWE locker room, how would you react to this situation? Now let's address the social media firestorm because the internet has opinions. Hashtag Pray for Roman is trending. Even fans who disliked Roman's character are showing support for the person. Wrestling journalists are reporting conflicting information. Some say it's a work. Others say it's real. The confusion adds to the chaos. AEW fans are using this to criticize WWE's style. This is why hardcore wrestling is dangerous. Meanwhile, WWE fans defend the company. Casual fans, people who only watch occasionally, are shocked. Wait, is this real? The line between reality and story is blurred. Former WWE stars are commenting, some offering support, others being controversial for attention. The engagement numbers are insane. Everyone's talking about Roman. That's what WWE wants, but at what cost? Question, does social media make situations like this better or worse for everyone involved? Let's talk about the legal implications because this could get messy. Could Roman sue Bron and Reed for excessive force? Wrestling has legal protections, but there are limits. Could WWE be liable for not protecting Roman adequately? Were agents negligent in letting the attack continue? Insurance companies are involved. WWE insures their talent. This injury will result in claims and investigations. Sponsor companies might have concerns. Is our brand associated with dangerous, violent content? Potential loss of partnerships. State athletic commissions might investigate. Was this assault? Should charges be filed? The line between wrestling and actual violence. WWE's legal team is working overtime managing this situation, protecting the company, protecting the wrestlers, limiting liability. Let me know, do you think there could be real legal consequences from this incident? Now let's discuss what this means for wrestling as a whole. This incident raises questions about safety standards across the industry, not just WWE, all promotions. Should there be stricter regulations on multi-person attacks? Should referees have more authority to stop dangerous situations? Do wrestlers need better protection protocols? More extensive medical evaluations during shows, not just after? Should there be limits on what moves can be performed? Who decides those limits? How do you balance safety with entertainment? Other promotions are watching. AEW, NJPW, Impact, they're all evaluating their own safety procedures. The wrestling community needs to have honest conversations about protecting performers while maintaining the illusion of violence. This could be a watershed moment that changes how wrestling operates, or it could be forgotten in a week. Time will tell. Final question before we wrap, does this incident make you rethink your views on wrestling safety? In conclusion, Roman Reigns suffering broken ribs and internal injuries from the Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed assault is not just another storyline. This is a legitimate medical crisis that affects WWE's business, affects real people, and raises serious questions about safety in professional wrestling. The tribal chief is in a hospital. He's in pain. His family is worried. His career might be in jeopardy. This isn't something to celebrate or dismiss. This is serious. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed crossed a line. Whether that was intentional or accidental, the result is the same. Roman Reigns is injured. WWE now faces a nightmare scenario. Their top star is out indefinitely. Major shows need restructuring. Storylines need rewriting. Money is being lost. But beyond business, beyond storylines, beyond entertainment, there's a human being who's hurt. Lini Noah is dealing with real pain and real consequences. That should matter most. This situation is evolving. Medical updates will come. Return timelines will be established. Storylines will continue. We'll be covering every development. But for now, all we can do is hope that Roman makes a full recovery. That he comes back healthy. That this injury doesn't have long-term consequences. Professional wrestling is built on calculated risks. But when those risks result in real injury, we have to step back and evaluate. Is this worth it? Is the entertainment value worth the human cost? Drop every thought, reaction, and opinion in the comments. Are you worried about Roman? Do you think Bron and Reed went too far? How should WWE handle this? Should there be consequences? Let's have the biggest, most important discussion in wrestling newsletter history. Smash that like button if you want Roman to make a full recovery. Subscribe for daily updates on Roman's condition and WWE's response. Hit that notification bell because this story is developing and you need to stay informed. Roman Reigns is down but hopefully not out. The wrestling world is watching. The tribal chief needs our support. Thank you for watching, and remember, behind every character is a real person. Support Roman. Demand better safety. And never forget, this is more than entertainment. This is people's lives. Stay tuned for updates. Let's go.